Okay. Time for interesting questions and discussions with our esteemed panel members. I hope all of you are feeling awake after engaging session post lunch. I'd like to invite all our panel members, Prashanth Seshadri from Intuit PD leader, um, Ranjan, engineering manager from Walmart, and Reena, director of TPM at Cashfree. Hello. Oh, sorry, mixed up. All right. Thank you all for taking out time. And the what we'll discuss and what the session is about is how the role of TPMs is evolving and has evolved over a period of time, and that is what we are going to talk about. But before that, quick introductions from Prashant, Ranjan, sorry again, and Reena.
Yeah. Hi, good afternoon. Hopefully, this should not be a boring session for all of you, considering it's after lunch. My name is Prashanth. I've been with Intuit for about 7 years now. I lead the data and AI teams here at India, and mainly working for uh, the latest tech, which is basically generative AI and agentic AI and data, of course.
Hello, everyone. I hope everyone is awake. The food was really great. So I'm Ranjan. I've been with Intel for 15 years now. And whenever I say that, I get a look of surprise on people's faces. Uh, yeah, uh, it's a great company. And anyways, I'm not here to represent Intel, so I'll not talk much about it. I was TPM for a brief time, and so I'm here to share my experiences and maybe if you're interested, how I moved to engineering manager. So that's all.
Reena.
Hey, hi everyone. Good afternoon. So I was not in the session in the first part. I was not here, so I probably have not got a chance to meet many of you. Good to see all of you here. Myself, Reena, working with cash-free payments as leader for TPM team. It's a team of close to 10 TPMs in cash-free, and yeah, somebody who has worked in fintech of late, but mostly worked in e-commerce and did the TPM and leader of TPM roles for the last 13 years. And then before that, I did development and engineering manager roles for the first 13 years. That's about me.
Thank you. We'll straight away dive into questions, and Reena will start with you because you were not here for the first session.
Yeah, so,
So,
so I am a little, yeah, am I going to cover mostly the topics you already talked? That's the question coming to my mind. But
not
still,
really.
yeah.
But yeah, I think the TPM role itself has evolved over last, decade or so, and we've probably seen shifts in years of like 2 3 years. Everything there's like a new change that is coming in. But according to you, and what do you think are the biggest shifts in expectations from TPMs in modern organizations?
Sure. So I'll start from, probably, the question asked here about, what is the probably not the great thing you come and hear about TPMs, right? So mostly a coordinator role, right? When TPMs got started, I definitely think that is how the TPM role came into picture, where, I mean, coordinate between the teams, that was the expectation as well. You communicate, you are the focal point of communication. If any information is not available for the participating teams, you become the owner for it. And that was mostly the role. And also it was mostly focus on execution and get the thing out on time. So that was mostly the TPM role was looked at, right? I mean, you have but TPMs knew what is my start point, what is my end point for a particular project or a particular initiative. Now in the change world, what I am seeing is that the expectation is that you are no more with particular project, or you are no more with particular delivery item. Your TPMs are mostly like you are associated with a particular area, and you become a strategic leader. So it is about you work on something, you execute, that is granted. Okay, so but I see most more than executing, you are giving a lot of leadership to the teams in identifying how the products or how the development you are doing is aligned with the strategy. I mean, I work in currently in kind of organization which is a mid-size organization. Okay, so the leadership expectation from even from a junior TPM is that he will know or she will know about everything which is happening in that particular charter, in terms of he is able to influence even the roadmap. It is not like something is given to you, you pick it up, deliver, no more. So that is the biggest change I am seeing, that you own a particular charter, you become the strategic leader for that charter, along with the product, along with the engineering. You also know that what is this particular area is, and you can contribute to roadmap, and you can suggest optimizations. That is the expectation which I am seeing from the
I think the shift is more towards being a strategic thought partner with the other functions, right? Thank you. Ranjan, the next one for you. From an engineering manager's perspective, how can TPMs add the most value to technical teams?
I think the question is in says it all, right? So TPMs add immense value. There is no day which can go without the TPMs pitching in, where they are, talking about execution, how what are the roadblocks on a daily basis, or even um, at the program execution level. They have to keep everyone informed. What are the roadblocks that we are looking into? How the alignment is happening across multiple teams. So TPMs are a glue, as we all know, right? So TPM are glue between multiple teams. So development teams, let's say engineers on one team, they are very close. They work very close with each other, and at a human level, as a people manager, I can say. So they know each other very well, and when a scope is given to that team, they get attached to it, right? And it's very difficult at times to explain them, okay, what you're doing is also interconnected with some other team, what the other team is doing. All right. And they are very so they need some guidance from a central figure, right, who will tell that, okay, this is the priority you have to deliver, because these are all interconnected. Okay, and TPMs will come and be that human glue between multiple teams. So I have worked in teams where we used to do planning for 15 teams together. It was very difficult. Even there were multiple engineering managers in that portfolio of projects, right? So none other than a technical program manager, right, or PMO. There were multiple technical program managers as well. So they would know what we are delivering to, what is the vision, right? So it was very strategic, and in a similar way, if the way you're thinking is strategic, how different pieces glue together, and then which team is working on what, and if you have that understanding, that level of understanding, not too deep, but then to a point where you can talk to the technical folks, right, to influence them why you should be working on this set of features in this quarter versus next quarter, and so on, right? That understanding, and then communicating, negotiating, that is very important.
Thank you. I think the shift is very clear. TPMs are not just executioners, but strategic thought leaders connecting business to execution. So, Prashant, next one for you. And would be great if you could pick an example. How do TPMs contribute to business outcomes beyond just execution, right? So, anything on top of your mind in terms of a TPM doing it?
Yeah, absolutely. Um, TPMs are not just here to manage programs, but they're also here to manage the business outcomes. When I say manage the business outcomes, we are enabling technology for a specific use case which will drive a business outcome, be it revenue, be it technology, or be it customer uh, efficiency, whatever it could be. I'll give you one classic example, right? And we have a TPM setting who's been driving that particular program. We have 1099 forms, basically, which has to be submitted on every year, and about 5 million forms is what we get, and it's highly error prone, and people have to manually enter it, and so on and so forth. Converted that to an AI solution, and we charge $10 per form on an average, and we generated about $14 million revenue, right? Very simple, but the TPM was plugged in from day one, where the ideation phase, looking at the total addressable market that we had, what was the hypothesis, prove the hypothesis, engage with the product team to say that this solution works, worked with the product team, came up with a plan, executed, deployed into production, and continue to manage its metrics. So your job is not just that, I delivered a program, I'm done, I'm going to the next one. It is basically to make sure that the business KPIs that you're driving after are met, and you continue to innovate and make it even better as we go forward. So it's very important that the TPMs understand the full context of the business, where they're coming from, what their KPIs are, and how our technology solution can fit into that business to drive that KPIs.
I think that's a great example, and 1099 has been a great success.
You know it more than me.
We have similar thing, W2 print monetization that we did, and we just got the launch email few hours ago. Anyway, thank you. One more question, follow up. How should TPMs measure their impact on organizational goals? Right, so it ties back to what you mentioned: understand end to end impact, and then
Yeah. See, at the end of the day, as engineering teams or technology teams, we have quality, we have dollars that we run on AWS. We have other metrics. I mean, those are table stakes that has to be measured by all the TPMs, including the PD leaders, right? But the TPMs are basically a person who gets the business team and the technology team using a technology to solve a specific problem, and solving that specific problem will generate some sort of revenue or KPI improvements or any other metric that you're after. So it's very important for TPM, like I said, even in the earlier question that you asked, to understand the entire gamut of the business so that you can drive that change together. So I would call them, they're the bridge between the technologist and the business partners, because business partners are there to do their job. Technologists are used to use the technology to build and drive efficiency for the business partners.
right. Thank you, Ranjan. For you, how can TPMs build stronger partnerships with engineering managers to ensure seamless project execution?
For seamless project execution, right? I think you know all this already. Maybe I'll give an example of how it was being done. One person I really admire is a technical program manager, and was offered a engineering manager position, but then declined. And the argument was that she enjoys doing this technical programming and she was great at it, right? So while managing multiple projects also, right, she knew exactly what is happening in all of the projects at any point of time. And it was large initiative, right? Still, uh, connecting the dots between execution from the people aspect, right? If so, you must be accounting for people who are going on leaves, maybe some long leaves and things like that, right? People falling sick, uh, many things are there. So she would know exactly what buffer should I be having for the execution. So even if there is some execution getting planned and there is a deadline, right? So including all those kinds of buffers in the execution plan, what it helped was that when the deadline was there, we used to reach that deadline without fail. Even things like in India, we have festivals, right? During October, November timeframe, we have more festival. So even that thoughtfulness that, okay, during this time, the velocity will be less. Okay. And it was pre-planned into the entire project program execution, right? So connecting all the dots, and again, talking about the people angle, right? So understanding where someone is in their career, in their life, right? And accordingly, uh, anticipating whether they will be able to deliver this with the kind of focus and excitement that we expect the engineers to, right? And again, connecting with the engineering managers, understanding if there is a performance gap, right? Communicating soon enough, right? Instead of waiting and sitting on the performance feedback for maybe a iteration or two, right? Let's give the feedback immediately so that maybe if I have a next one-on-one, I can set the context or do the coaching, right? So similar things, I think, but I don't need to give all this gyan to you, right? So you're all experts. I have been listening since morning.
I think I mean TPMs are in an unique position where they need to build those relationships and
Exactly. Yeah, people,
understand.
relationship building, that network building, right? So, for example, when you are going to negotiate with a certain team that, okay, this needs, a certain roadblock is there, and that needs to be, that is a dependency for a bigger feature that team A is working on, right? And TPM has to go to team B saying that, oh, you have to enable this in your current iteration itself. It cannot wait for the next iteration. Now, if it goes through an organizational channel that, okay, hey, this is needed for organization, people may or may not include it. But then if you have that connection with that team's, leaders, right? At a personal level, they'll say, okay, I'll adjust. Maybe I'll ask someone to, prioritize this instead of something else. So you cannot so the key message is that you cannot work on relationship building when you need it. You have to plant the seeds way back. Okay, so that planting the seeds, someone called out networking as a skill. So that is a power skill. You need to get better at it. Network, not just because you need this person now, right? Just network, without even thinking, maybe you will be helpful for that person, right? So doing that networking is really crucial aspect of being a TPM.
Right. Thank you. Moving on, very important. As TPMs, we one of our skills is adapting to change and continuous learning, right? So, adapting to emerging technologies is something that is on everybody's mind. So, I'd like to hear from you all. So, Reena, how should TPMs stay relevant with the rise of AI, cloud, and other emerging technologies?
How?
How? Yes, not why, but how.
Yeah. Mm. One, of course, is that, being knowledgeable in that area, right? Uh, Never look at a new technology as no, without this also. One first thought comes to TPM's mind is that let the hype go, then I will see whether I should really do it or not, right? So, I mean, I have done it in my life. That's what I am quoting it, right? I know this is a hype. Let it go. I mean, wait for some time, and I know that it will again come back to the conventional Gantt charts, right? So I will wait for it, right? So that is one approach. I agree, but in my view, now the technology is changing in such a way that, and the TPM role is also evolving in that way. We TPMs cannot really move away. I mean, tell that no, I know my core strengths. I will stick to it, and I will try to be expert in my core strength may not be good enough is what my experience is. So I will tell that understand the technology, one aspect, and second is that try to see most of the organization when new technologies comes in set up COEs, right? If an AI COE is being set up, mostly start with an architect and then with a few engineering enthusiasts, right? I tell my team that you need to be part of AI COE. So that is what I tell my team. So being within that and experiencing the technology, so I go to leadership as well and then tell that leadership also ask one question. It is just starting, and can you really spend TPM bandwidth for it, right? So my view will be that every organization, probably some of the leaders should influence the top leaders, so that there is an investment happening, and the TPMs need to be in COEs and also need to be in in the new technology and using it, right? Without that, I mean, it will be very difficult. No, I was telling that strategic leadership and all, without knowing the latest technology, will be difficult, and there is lot of technical knowledge required here. So plan for it. That is applicable to your executing teams as well, right? You will have to plan for your teams as well to be upskilled in those technologies. So really focus on it, be part of COEs, and that's what I will tell probably will help TPMs to really pick up on these new technologies.
Thank you. Prashant, coming back to you, I mean, you've touched upon TPMs playing an important role in driving innovation, adopting AI, and solving problems. But how do you see TPMs play this role on an ongoing basis, right? Not dependent on a specific technology coming in, but throughout their day-to-day job. How do you see TPMs play driving innovation within their organization?
Um, I think I'll just take a precursor and answer the previous question too. I have two words: be inquisitive. As long as you're inquisitive, I think you'll figure out the technology landscape and understand what's happening. And coming back to your question, how to do it on a day-to-day basis and continuously see what's coming on the new technology front. And technology is going to be disrupting our lives way faster than ever before. Like gone are the days where we have to wait for 5 years for a technology to disrupt. I think it's going to come our way every quarter. One of the ways is to make sure that you work with the engineering team, figure out what they're doing with the latest technologies and how they're using it to solve a business problem, and keep yourself adapt in terms of similar technology that's coming out in the market. Brainstorm with the engineering team. Now, today we have our own TPMs going with the business teams and figuring out, saying that, hey, you know what, you solved using that technology, and I see a similar problem over here. I think we can do the same thing over here, and get a much broader impact, right? I mean, that is something that you have to inculcate within yourself to make sure that you're learning new technologies as it comes. Be inquisitive, ask a lot of questions with your engineering team so that you understand what's happening on the internals. Not that you have to go sit and write code and design architectures and stuff like that, but at least so that you can go back and be the link between the business and the product, the engineering team. And also to say, hey, you know what, you solved this problem earlier and I see a similar problem. Let's go ahead and solve it. It's a low hanging fruit for us. I think those are some things that you have to continuously repeat day after day, and automatically you'll get there pretty fast.
So spotting patterns and identifying those patterns and trying to bring common solutions to them. Yeah, thank you. We'll move on to a next set of questions, pretty much on cross functional leadership and influence. So, Ranjan, what are some of the common challenges you've faced while collaborating with TPMs, and how can they be addressed effectively?
So at the onset, I've not faced major problems. This community of
That's good to
TPMs.
hear. Nobody chased you for dates.
Exactly. So what I mean to say is, in general, you're execution masters, right? So we rely a lot on you for execution. Having said that, right, I have seen some, scenarios where people were, and also it connects to the previous question, right? So some people are not ready to change the tools that they're using. Okay, so I have worked with people who were using Excel, let's say, right, and they had become great at Excel, and Excel is again a great tool. But then when different tools like Jira came, Rally came, okay, many things which were done manually in Excel at those times, right, were automated, given as report in Jira, Rally, or other tools. Okay, and that I'm talking about maybe 7 8 years back, 5 years back, around that time frame, right? In last 5 years, AI has come. Okay, and now again the same mindset shift has to happen. Okay, and people who are saying that no, 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 I will not change my ways, let's continue to use the same tools, you're going to stay behind. Okay, and people who adopt the new technologies sooner, it's easier to work with them, because engineers have also moved on, right? Engineers have moved on to using AI tools. GitHub Copilot, for example, has been used in multiple organizations. I'm sure all of you know it. And now, if they are being asked to deliver more things within a smaller time frame, right, they would also highly, raise their expectations from TPM. And it was called out earlier as well, right? That in time, the number of people working to deliver a certain program would reduce. Okay, and the only way that you can wave this, or serve this wave, is to learn these tools. Okay, so if you are doing that, it will be a great, if you can uh, learn these new tools, learn the new AI tools, and then use this to do your core job, which is to, again, in my opinion, right, to connect the dots, connect the different teams, and then execute and reach the milestones on the deadline, right? So help with the execution.
Prashant, anything you would like to add if you faced any challenges collaborating with TPMs? I'll skip Reena because she's director of TPMs.
I think not challenges, but they keep us grounded. Uh, of course, we are all here to do a job, right? Business wants to know when we're going to deliver so that they can get the returns on the work that we have done and so on and so forth. I think those are tactical stuff that happens day in and day out. But the fact of the matter is the reason why TPMs are there is because we run large programs with cross-functional groups, platforms. So many. I don't think a single manager or like at least a PD side of things can cross-cut. I'm not saying they shouldn't, but very hard. You have your own deliverables. So I think TPM is the glue that binds all of us together to a common objective or a goal that we all have. Uh, with that said, yes, uh, sometimes they do become a leech on your back because they have certain things that they need the information and you need to get it out. Uh, but at the end of it, it is for the common good. I think that's what we need to understand from engineering perspective. uh, you know, there are risks and issues. You have seen so many risks. I'll come back and say, hey, you know what? We had a technology risk. I can't increase my TPS from X to Y because the technology is not supporting. We have to pivot. So the next question is, when do I get a date? Right. So these things are natural, but I think we need to understand that it's for a common cause, it's for a common goal, and that's what we're all here for, and we're working towards. So, I mean, I love working with TPMs, and I have a fabulous TPM here at Intuit who just keeps me grounded and gets the things going.
Right. Thank you. I think just a follow-up question on that, Prashant, you beautifully mentioned that they have to drive all of these conversations. But have and can you pick an example, right? How has a TPM managed conflict and completing priorities within your organization? And I know we do it every single day now, probably because of the changing uh, requirements and goals that we are getting. But then anything that stands out, which was beautifully done without any,
Yeah,
burning
I
bridges.
can give you like plethora of examples, but I'll kind of stick to one. I think data driven, right? If somebody comes and tells you, hey, you know what, this will give you $2 million, the other one give you $20 million, which will you pick? Obviously the $20 million, no questions asked, right? So I think the more data driven that the TPMs are to say from top down, in a sense, every company has got their own vision and mission, and they have their goals set. If you can align that number or the data to a goal that your company cares about, that supersedes everything else, right? So if there is a mechanism in which you can get that done, it's very simple. Data driven, pivot, iterate, move fast, or fail fast.
Thank you. Um, Coming to the last section of of the questions, and Reena, this is for you. What advice would you give to aspiring TPMs looking to grow their careers?
Okay. Yeah. One thing I'll tell is that be bold. Be bold
It's
and
RCB. So I'm not sure
The
if
team
that
stands
is
for
the
Lucky
right.
Charm.
It
the
will
way,
be
yeah.
bold and Isala Cup Namde is what we all have to do.
No. Sure. Be bold to actually position your role to the leadership. So, I mean, many organization, I can tell that there are a lot of leaders who does not probably be relating to this is something a TPM can do, right? So my no, that's what I tell is that be bold, sell your role is what very important for you. Don't wait. I mean, initiative will come. You are the TPM for it. Pick up, execute is not the way to do it. Is my way. So be bold, and then again, second, technically knowing the things is very important. You need not be previously it was that width was more important. You know, these buzzwords is very important, but now everyone knows the buzzwords, especially with the technology has moved on. Buzzwords everybody knows, so you have to really go little deep in one or two technologies. That is the second thing I will tell to the aspiring DPMs.
Right. I think the T in TPM stands for a reason. Um, and that is why we are being differentiated when you compare to program managers who drive broader business programs or operational programs that are there. So the technical part is what would help us build stronger relationship with engineering team, win trust, build trust, and also influence their decisions, right? Because if we are able to talk the engineering language, we have a seat at the table. So Ranjan, quick advice on what advice would you give to TPMs who want to develop a deeper technical understanding to support better support engineering teams? And then Prashant, you can also add on to it.
Sure. So I think staying curious is important. So if you're driving a program, and as you mentioned, right, T stands for technical. So you need to know what is getting designed, right? So if you can sit in those architectural decisions, discussions, or at least look into the some diagrams, try to understand at a very high level. You don't need to get into the low level details, but then at the high level, you know what components are getting built. So if you're let's say getting some inputs in from the team, you should be able to make out what is happening. Otherwise you're just driving the program as a PM, not as a TPM. So staying curious is very important. And if I mean, since I've got an audience, I always say that if you're motivated to become successful, you will be successful. You'll figure out what it takes to go to the next level or whatever your goals are. If you're motivated, if you're really motivated, you'll figure out who is the mentor who can tell you what is the right kind of courses to take, conferences to attend, and so on, right? But if you have the motivation to succeed, you will. And if you want to just figure out what is the path, mentorship is the right opportunity. You can you have distinguished leaders here, so talk to your manager what can take you to the next level, and they will be able to help.
Thank you, Prashant.
Yeah, like I said, I think technology is going to disrupt us really, really fast. I mean, that is something that we all have to accept. And let's be very, very intentional about learning new technologies, right? I mean, I've seen TPMs where they don't attend engineering design discussions or key discussions where they only look at the program. I've seen TPMs where they're deeply involved in every discussion and they ask very valid questions. So it's a choice that you have to make and figure out whether you want to, how deeply you want to be involved in technology. Nobody's going to ask you to write code and do design documentation and architecture and so on and so forth. But ability to bridge the gap between the engineering and the business using the technology that you're working on, I think that is the key. And that is where your role would be redefined. So be inquisitive, like you said, continuously learn. I think that's the only way forward. And it's for all of us. It's not just for TPMs. I think it's same for engineering too.
Yeah, I think one of the things that I used to do was be part of all the daily stand-ups, right? Just stand there in the corner, listen to the conversation. You'll absorb as much as you can, and also you never know when you get an idea and you are able to contribute to it, because you will always have a plan B. People saying, okay, I can't decommission a service. Why can't you decommission a service? You'll figure out a way to do it, right? So be inquisitive, be bold, be curious, and take your TPM career forward. Thank you for an engaging conversation.
Thank
It
you.
was lovely having you all. um, Please stay here for some more time in case somebody has any questions from the audience.
Hi, thank you for the session. Myself, Shahid. I think from morning we've been listening, right? Like we have to upscale our technical things. How do we really plan to upscale, right? Curiosity is obviously there because at DPMs we're part of multiple programs and we handle teams and stuff, right? So being curious, curiosity is there. We also want, eager to learn. Probably I can call it myself. I also want to learn. How do you really structure and create a roadmap? Where do you have to start it with? No, no, no.
No, I have a very, very specific answer for that. Yes, as TPMs, I think you have multiple programs, multiple technologies that you're playing around with. Two things that I would advise. One, your interest, self-interest. Two, what the market is driving towards. pick those two together, form an intersection, and see what are the areas that you can learn. Be in those teams, be in those meetings, be inquisitive, ask questions, move forward. You can't do everything. So pick and choose what you want to learn. Once you become the mastery of that, then you can pick and choose the next one, and so on and so forth.
Thank you.
If I can add one more thing, right? So maybe the way people learn, it's also, it varies from person to person. Few people, if I assign them a course, right, they would not feel good about it, right? They would say, I prefer reading a book. Some people prefer following some blogs. Some people like to go to these conferences. So you have to figure out what is it that you want. Whether, I mean, how do you learn, right? So obviously you have learned so many things. So you have to figure out the way what suits you, and then accordingly reach for those kind of courses, books, you know, some friend who can teach you. So there are multiple ways of learning, but you have to raise your awareness of how do I learn, what is the best or most effective way in which I can learn. And again, I would tie it back to motivation. If you're motivated, you will figure out.
Okay, I just have probably want to add to that is that, you know, like you said, you attend meeting, like, and be with engineering people, have conversations.
Like he used to attend the daily sync up meeting, right? And that's how he learned.
Yeah.
So
So part of those, like, still, you know, I can manage, have engineering decisions thing. Somewhere it pulls me down that no, you're not to the level of what these people are. Is it like really common with everyone, or is it only with me?
No, I think we need to keep our ego aside and be shameless actually to an extent, right? When you're starting your career as a TPM, don't shy away from asking the most stupidest question to anyone for that matter. You are one thing that we all need to understand is we are put in that place to drive a certain thing successfully and deliver on that. Now, whatever it takes to do that, you need to do it. Now, there are ways to balance it in terms of you can't be aggressive, you need to be empathetic, you need to do all of that. So, that is the piece that comes with practice, and that is the skill that you develop over a period of time. Um, when I used to attend daily stand-ups, engineering daily stand-ups, people used to wonder why am I even there because I hardly opened my mouth in first 4 weeks. But then when gradually, like I said, once you start talking their language, you build the trust. Then you gradually start influencing their decisions, and that is the part of relationship building. And then you do that one on one and not in a group, right? So you need to figure out who's the person who matches your vibe, whom you can connect with, who is not getting irritated when you're asking questions, who's ready to spend some time with you and walk you through the high level design to the low level design, right? And that takes time. It's not going to happen overnight. Now, when you're starting your career, you're obviously running one single program, so that gives you the ability to go deep. Versus when you progress, you are running multiple programs, and that would depend on the criticality of the program. In which program you want to go deep? What is the stage of the program? Where is the fire? Go address that, and then come back to other programs. So sorry, but
yeah, maybe one more thing I would like to add, right? So what exactly is needed at your level, only you can tell. So in some teams, engineering manager may also double up as product manager, right? So that product management gap is not there, right? So in some teams, engineering manager may double up as architect. So that architecture gap is not there. So in your team, you are, let's say, acting as a TPM, but then you want to grow further, you want to expand. And if you want to expand further and contribute technically into it, right? So you should be looking into, okay, how can I get into more depth, technical aspect? But then if there's already someone who is covering the technical aspect completely, and if you even if you learn that, it's of no use in that specific scenario, right? But then if your team is struggling to make commitments to different teams, right? And that is where your negotiation, if you become better at negotiation, right, that skill is what you should be spending more time into it. Okay, so I hope It making sense what I'm saying, right? So figure out what exactly you need to learn. You need to augment what your skills are, but then with what? In your current team, what is needed?
Okay, we'll have one there and then.
Okay, so can you touch a little bit upon how TPMs can aspire towards executives or C-suite roles? What kind of roles match more, and what kind of a skill set they should be developing?
Maybe, yeah. What I have seen is that TPMs have grown to all different levels, but many times operating, that is COO, is a line which I have seen as a natural CXO levels for good TPMs. So yeah, and of course, one thing to go to that level is your business domain knowledge. Because when you talk to CXO level people, you have to talk in terms of what is important for them, right? So one is your business knowledge really have to be really up, and then I think a lot of great TPMs have become COOs is my observation, and it's a very natural path I have felt in many of the cases.
Thank you.
If I can add, so any CXO level cannot, you cannot reach a CXO level at with just one skill or one function. You have to have cross function, cross domain knowledge to grow to that level. So let's not look at, it's a problem across the space. It's not just for TPMs. It's not just for specific things. Just because in engineering, that doesn't mean that you'll get to CXO. I mean, you have to look at marketing. You have to look at your sales. You look at literally everything that you require a company to run and operate on. So acquiring cross skills, cross domain skills, and trying to work in different departments, including sales, marketing, customer success, everything will help you get there.
Now that you touched upon switching roles at a senior level, right? I'd like to ask a follow-up question on that. When you move, say, for example, as a VP or as a director from one vertical to another, right? There will be pitfalls, ups and downs. So I've seen that in your profile, you've handled multiple job roles from a program management into a analytics, data science, and so on. So can you share some of your experiences around that? How you fail? I mean, everybody will fail in a new role to start with. So anything to
Yeah,
address
when I
that?
said switching roles, it's moving from different verticals or product lines that you're working on. That's one way to do it. The second way also to do it along with that is to switch roles from, let's say, TPM to a PM, or maybe something on customer success group and so on and so forth. Again, there is no silver bullet to it, right? If everybody had a given path on a silver bullet, I think all of us would have been CXOs over here. So I think it's all about the strategic initiatives that you're interested in to drive. I think it should come from there. And second is the opportunity that you have within the space that you're working in, and a little bit amount of luck for sure.
Thanks.
So
Because I
maybe I
see
can.
people moving everywhere from finance to sales to marketing and all over.
Yeah,
at-
and
at
still
higher
you may not get
positions.
anywhere.
So there is a you may have heard of this thing called transferable skills, right? So when you are in any job, right, you have a certain competency that you build over time or over years, and then if you are looking to make a shift, that can be a shift to a higher level or a lateral move where at the same level you're moving to a different function. Now that is a little bit challenging. If you're if you don't have the skill for a lateral move, that is challenging. But then there is maybe a 30 to 40%, maybe 60% of skill which is transferable. So only if you have that set of transferable skills which can at least make you successful, at least 50% you should be able to meet the skills of the next job, right? Then you can make a move. Otherwise, if you are, let's say, TPM and then you want to become, let's say, a finance analyst, right? You may lack that. I'm just giving an example, right? So you have to first, if you're really interested, you can build that skill with trainings and so on, and then apply for that job, right? So again, anything is possible if you're motivated, right? Get the right skills, seek the right kind of job, you'll get it. And transferable skill, that is the key. I mean, how much of transferable skill do you have?
Hey, hi. Uh, so in terms of like TPM, we have seen that it's one of the important factors of a TPM is to have the convincing skills, like aligning different stakeholders and bringing them together, right? Like as you mentioned, glue somehow. And in terms of doing that, convincing them using data is an important point, right? So does it all belong to data, or is there a space for some instinct or experience that you have before working with the same kind of project or a feature or something like that?
You do get wise as we grow old, right? So there is some amount of wisdom that you know that you have learned from the past that you can use. But uh, along with that, I mean, for example, if you're working with the stakeholders who doesn't know you, who has not worked with you in the past and don't know your credibility, then data speaks louder than anything else. But people that you're familiar with saying that, hey, you know what, I've been there, done that, I don't think it's going to work, they'll take it at face value. So I think you have to manage on how you want to navigate through different stakeholders, be it the credibility that you built earlier in the past, or you need to look at the data points to build future credibilities. So a combination of that is what you need to go forward with. Again, it's situational, it is time specific. So again, there is no correct answer to it. I think you have to go with some amount of intuition, but nobody will come and argue if the data speaks for itself.
All right. Okay.
So maybe I can just add one thing, right? So as TPM, I'm not sure if you have heard of this Sam Dam Dand Bhed, right? So you have to use any of those things, right?
Thank you. Thank you again for taking our time and answering all our questions. It was lovely having you all.
All of your questions are answered. Anybody has any more questions? Don't say yes now. Okay. You have those links, right? You can follow, share, subscribe, put it there, or follow them on LinkedIn and then bug them there. Okay. We have to wrap. So thank you so much for all the lovely panelists. Had a great discussion, but we have to move towards closing as well.
So I would like to call upon Malvika to give a closing note. But before that, like we would
Mementos.
like to present a token of appreciation to our speakers. So Neeru, if you would come over to.
Yeah, we would like to request Neeru Jain to be here. We would have to, yeah, Malvika, could you first? So token of appreciation for? You have to say the name. Token of appreciation for? I was going to do hip hip Neeru, but then I thought no. Thank you so much. Yeah.
If I may, it was just heartening to see all of these open conversations. The fact that we are here in person, I just had to take a step back. I sat at the last seat. I think it's a different feeling sitting there and looking all of this happen, unfold. So thank you to everyone who made it. Thank you for the people behind the scenes who made it possible. So I think this is not for me. This is for all of you. Thank you so much.
Neeru, can you stay back to give the other speakers?
So we also have token of appreciation for the other folks. So I would request one, like each one of you to come on stage one by one. Raju. Sunita.
I'm just taking it on her behalf. Okay. Because she's
Yes, we allow proxies. Then we have Ranjan. Reena Andrews. And last but not the least, Prashanth Seshadri. Thank you so much, everyone. We'll now call Malvika up on stage for the closing note.
Okay, I won't take much time because